First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for your interest and for your attendance for today's, a professional discussion here. We definitely appreciate your participation. First and foremost, I would also like for you to, for those who just joined also, please note that there is an attendance link that is posted in the chat box, inshallah. So I hope that it can also be reposted again should there be any later rejoining as well. Now, the topic of the day. Okay, the topic of the day is issues and challenges in assessing assessments. By the way, topic is actually brainstorm among the ISO committee. Okay, uh, However, inshallah in the future we are going later today lah, inshallah we are going to pass out a feedback form in which we are also going to ask if there's any suggestion topics from the participating members that you want that topic to be discussed in future professional discussion. We are also open for that. At the moment, we have about 5 to 6 topics already in line for several months there. But we are definitely welcoming any suggestion future topics, inshallah. So keep that in mind, or you can directly, reach Brother Sufyan or me if you want to suggest certain topics to be discussed. Okay. Now, a bit of a context, okay, since we are approaching this, so I want to, encourage the habit whereby once we have a topic, in order to keep focus on the topic, there should be some kind of contextualization of the topic here. Now, issues and challenges here, I suggest, okay, that the scope revolves around problems, okay, or, controllable problems or uncontrollable problems, okay, associated with assessment. Okay, assessment, in which assessing here refers to how we check our assessment. Okay, now I would like to start with some few guidelines here first. So the definition of assessment, I would like to start the discussion by adopting the definition of assessment from the IIUM assessment policy published in 2008. Assessment refers to a process of gathering information about student learning to claim and certify that students have achieved certain learning outcome prescribed by the program, and assessment can take a wide range of form, both invigilated and non-invigilated. So this may cover whatever assessment that is stated in the course outline. Okay. And I also would like to highlight this particular point in order to elaborate on the point on this one, assessing assessment. What do we mean by assessing assessment? Okay, so basically we mean, I suggest that it means to check the assessment and what to check for. So there should be a certain criteria to check. So again, referring to the IIUM assessment policy, which I would like to direct you to my another tab. Please bear for a while. Another tab. Okay, this one. Okay, so I hope you can see this is the IUM assessment policy. This part here defines the purpose of assessment, page 6 here. So the assessment should provide fair, reliable, and valid. So that's the first point there. So the point of the topic assessing assessment refers to how do you check whether your assessment fulfill these purposes. Okay, so the assessment according to the IUM assessment policy should be fair, reliable, valid, promote student mastery of concept, direct student progression of learning outcomes, record and aggregate student achievement, inform and assist, okay, the center in evaluating the effectiveness of teaching. This one is more towards reviewing assessment, facilitate the review and upgrade the quality of the curriculum, courses and program in which the assessment helps to do this as well. Okay. Here what it means is, very interestingly, what it means is that assessment can provide feedback. That means your final examination can actually provide feedback to amend the curriculum. Like for example, you notice that these sets of questions showed that it is a bit too hard for students to grasp. through their result of assessment there. And then for the next review of curriculum there, you would suggest that this particular topic would be reduced. So this is what it means there, facilitate the review of the curriculum. And the assessment should help define and protect academic standards deemed necessary purpose of accountability. So with that, okay, I believe that I provide the context of the topic, which is issues and challenges in assessing assessment. So with that, with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I would like to pass, okay, the discussion to the members. Any members can start with a question, can start with a comment, can start with a good practices there. Wallahu alam, I'll stop talking now and I'll pass the floor to the participant. Anyone would like to start the discussion ruling? Okay, everyone is thinking now. In the meantime, those who just join, you can key in your attendance. Please key in your attendance. Okay, I'll start the ball rolling since everyone is macam, okay, mungkin nak berjaga sikit. Tak apalah, okay, because it's the first time, right? Okay, how about this? I'm okay. As a lecturer from human science here, I have this particular experience, past experience, whereby one of the students has is diagnosed by a psychiatrist to have anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder, in which the particular course that I'm teaching requires her to actually speak in front of her friends. So it's like a public presentation skills, presentation, and she cannot handle that. She cannot handle that. And then, I made an effort to discuss with the course leader, okay, to the fellow lecturers as well, to somehow amend the assessment for her case only, without compromising course and the learning outcome. Like for example, for other students, they have present. That means they have conducted debate. They are required to debate on a topic basically. But for this particular student who is suffering from anxiety disorder, I would just have to build arguments for a topic given to her, and that argument is just submitted to the lecturer. So this is particular presentation on that. What do you think? Do you think that's fair and that can be done? Or that compromises the quality of the fairness of the assessment to the other students? What do you think? Open discussion.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Yes, brother Zoreh. Yes, please.
Yes. Actually, I have a kind of a similar student where AED we offer a subject which is presentation skills, and one of the student is a he. He's actually this is last batch student. So he is diagnosed with like a mild autism lah. Right, and whenever he speaks, he has confidence, he can speak, but then he stutters a lot. So it's not like a normal person stutter lah. He really stuttered, but to be honest, we didn't think of changing the assessment to just like what you have said, giving out the argument in written form. But what we did was we focus less on the rubric where referring to the, for example, smoothness of presentation or maybe the body language. So we kind of focus less on that particular like marks. And we also gave the students a little bit of extra timing for presentation. And with that, it really helped the students in doing the assessment lah. But I don't really know how to say about your apa, your idea to like change the wholly the assessment, like what you have said. So maybe other members can give out other opinion.
Right, thank you. Yeah, how about other members? Do you have similar, experiences whereby you had to somehow adjust the assessment a bit to accommodate this kind of students? If you don't have experience, you can also comment actually. Yeah, what do you think that should be done or what there? Also can.
To add on a little bit, Relation Zudin, I think this is not only just focusing on assessments such as presentation, speaking, like that, but it is also for like, if there are students who are struggling in answering examination, there are initiative where we extend the exam or quiz a little bit to cater for the problem of the student, right? So maybe there are other like assignments that maybe other members are experiencing some sort of changes in the assessment or whatnot.
So the one that you gave the example just now was more on a pen and paper test, is it?
The example was no, it is actually it's a presentation.
Ah, okay, right. So how about the other members? Do you have, any comments, anything sharing, or you can raise another, line of discussion, also can as well. Others are thinking, so okay. Right now, how about this? Okay, I keep the discussion rolling again. Just now, your last line of thought was you are inquiring whether this can happen in assignments or what is it?
Yeah, assignments, quizzes,
Has it
examination.
happened at AED before?
AED, maybe the academic advisor can comment. I'm not sure about other students that are given privileges to extend their assignments or whatnot. Um, yeah.
Okay, thank you. The rest can chip in if you feel that you want to raise. Yes, Kak Ed, please.
Assalamualaikum. Can you
Waalaikumsalam.
hear me?
Yes, we can
Uh,
hear you.
yeah, I just want to share one experience. It was many years ago, but this one is a very among the rare cases. When we had public speaking before, there was this student who suffered from bipolar. So when she presented, she was all sweaty and sweating, and as well as trembling and stuttering, and at the end, after 5 minutes, she just forgot her words. So at that time, I told her to just uh, go back to her seat and listen to other people. And at times, with a certain presentation, she can't even attend because she was very anxious. So, but I know at that time I just hope I just wanted the audience to at times, okay, kita jangan pandang dia, kita pandang bawah je sebab takut eye contact macam tu. And then she managed lah juga. But then we have to cater for this one person too uniquely too. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. Yeah, that's all I want to share.
And what happened after that, Kak Ed?
She managed to complete everything. Cumanya she takes longer time when she's presenting because she's shaking kan masa demonstrative presentation. She takes longer time because at times she needs to sit down, she needs to drink her water. Even worse if she has taken her medication tau, and then she's memang at times very overwhelming. But she wanted to finish, and so I have to give it to her lah.
Itulah kan, macam at the moment we have a written policy on how to nak katanya accommodate this kind of students in terms by adding time, okay, according to the proportionate to the total time of the particular exam, right? However, there's been also some discussion on that time is not just, sometimes time cannot somehow help the student to really express the learning outcome. For the assessment in particular. Like for example, one of my past experience as well, I had this student yang this same student had a panic attack. So and then I asked her, when there's a panic attack in the middle of the test or what, they'll just be blank lah. They'll just be blank, and they cannot answer. And then they had to, sometimes they take a longer time to really calm down before they can actually continue on the assessment, okay, or whatever. At that time, it was an online quiz or test that. So in the case of that person needs 1 hour, in some cases 2 hours, for example, before they can recover and continue. A standard measure of how much time given extra may not be a solid solution actually. But what's the rest opinion about, should there be other criteria like macam changing, that means to say assessment can also change in terms of their nature, just to somehow without of course majorly compromising the learning outcome to be tested, but just even change the nature, not just simply adding time, but even change the nature of the assessment. Like just now, the student trembling, okay, anxiety disorder, because the technique is have to present verbally. Okay? But if we had to change the nature to probably writing, but the learning outcome is still the same, let's say for example, the learning outcome is to test students whether they are able to explain. So it's just from verbal to written. Okay, the learning outcome is still the same. That means the skill there, just that the medium changes there. At the moment, we don't particularly have that because our written policy is only the addition of time. So what's the rest members? What do you think? Probably you have different experience, or in which whereby you think that there's also other criteria to consider other than time. Open discussion. Anyone else would like to chip in? Yes, Sister Shahazilia.
Brother Samshuddin, I think that the best way to do it will be, I'm not sure, but in my consideration, the best way to do it is to actually involve the student and ask them what are the limitation that they have. You see, so you are putting okay, this is the requirement of assessment that we have, and what are your limitation? And we actually go halfway, in order to fulfill each part, the assessment and also their limitation and all. Because the thing is just that if we are actually we do not ask the students, we might not know what are the problems that they are having, things that they can do and they cannot do, and so on and so forth. And the thing is just that with this kind of students with special abilities, you just cannot say that, okay, giving time is just enough, because the thing is just that we have different kinds of learning disability, and we cannot actually have one solution for everything, because this kind of, different disability will have different kinds of solution. They will actually have different kind of limitations that we need to acknowledge. If we don't acknowledge them, then it's going to be quite impossible for us to actually be successful in whatever that we are doing, in our teaching, in our assessment and all. So that's one way of actually doing, asking the students, okay, what is your problem right now? So how do we actually counter this? So this is what we have. So how can we actually do this, with whatever limitation that you have, how can we achieve it? So when you are putting the students into the limelight and asking the person what they need to do, or asking them what is their problems in actually like fulfilling the assessment, they are able to actually tell you, and you can actually like figure out, changing a little bit of, not everything, but a little bit to accommodate whatever limitation that they have. Like the one that you said just now, with students, with your students who have anxiety and all, maybe instead of having it in class, you have only the groups, so you might actually be able to talk to the students first if you can identify that the students have anxiety problem or whatnot. Most of the time, I don't know, but according to my experience, I also teach public speaking, and also what do you call that, and other speaking tests and all. But the thing is just that most of the time the student will come and tell us that, Ms. Zida, I'm having problem with this. I cannot speak in front of the public. So the thing is just that, you need to actually accommodate a little bit here and there. And I guess that, I'm not sure about this, but, there are students who are quite, they don't want anybody to know about their disabilities, and there are students who are okay with that. So if we can actually say that, let's say like you have a students who have anxiety, and maybe you ask the student if they are okay, if you want to change everything, or you want to change something for them, and you don't want it to be like not fair for the rest. Sometimes people, other students will feel that, hey, why is it that this student has this privilege, and if they are okay with you telling this whole class that, okay, this is it. All right, this student has this problem and he or she cannot actually do it this way. So is it okay that all of us, tak kisahlah, let her do it in such a way? All right, so you guys will actually be doing it in class. Everybody will be looking at you for the debate and all. But for her groups and the groups that she will actually like, the opposition and all, so it means that this group, two groups will be like maybe dekat dalam bilik yang different lah, so yang the eyes that will be on her will be like lesser, so that anxiety wise bukan tak ada, tapi it will be like macam lessen lah sikit, so that she is able to what do you call that, confront her fear and so on. So maybe that's one way of doing it. Wallahu alam.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you. Alhamdulillah, okay, thank you, Brother Muhammad Eng. Wait for a while. So as a facilitator, I would like to direct again our discussion here is that, yes, we are talking about adjusting assessment or whatnot, but the topic is about assessing assessment here. So I believe that, the direction is that when we prepare assessments or whatnot, when we do a workshop there, in assessing the quality of the assessment, we would also put in mind the consideration. That means there are different alternative versions that we can consider implement if we have a certain special student, for example. So during the checking of assessment, we would consider if we have this kind of student, okay, do you have a slightly different version, for example? So while checking the assessment there, we can somehow put that into consideration as well. Yes, Brother Muhammad Eng.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sorry I came in a little bit late. The first 50 minutes saya tak sempat dengar. Just a few things to ask. Right? For example, giving extra time ataupun to accommodate certain students. So I'm not sure whether we can actually accommodate just based on what we feel or what we think, whether the student have anxiety or not. I think, in my opinion, if they actually have a panic attack or something similar to it, right? It has to be diagnosed. It means that we cannot make assumption that suddenly they have panic attack, or suddenly they feel stressed or suddenly they feel blank. We can't actually make assumptions like that and then accommodate them. I don't think so. We actually can do that due to the fairness of an exam. Um, that is one thing lah, right? I would suggest that if these people are requires accommodation, it have to be diagnosed by, I think, psychiatrist maybe, or maybe someone who is in the medic field. Um, and secondly, right, this is something which I always see, and it's quite interesting. For example, we ask students to make videos. Just say lah, making videos as an assessment, right? But the thing is, we ask students to make videos, but we never teach them how to make videos. We don't support them in any way to make videos. That's very interesting. And then in the end, we assess them with an assessment saying that, okay, in the end, your videos have to be like this, like that, this criteria, that criteria have to be beautiful, you have to be edited, right? But uh, but but we never teach them that. And we never help them in terms of, or teach them how to make videos, but we assess them in making videos. Similarly, sometimes we ask students to present, just say lah, this is a summative assessment in the end. But we forget that, if you have a presentation as a summative assessment, then you need presentation as formative assessment as well. You need to teach them that, oh, your eyes, you should be looking like this. You should be speaking it louder. You should do this. You should do that. The formative assessment have to occur before the summative assessment. So this is something to consider as well. I think it's something that I hope that a lot of lecturers consider, because we are short-term course. We don't have much time. The students don't have much time. If you want to ask them to present, and if you want to give marks for presentation skill, you yourself have to teach them those presentation skills, or at least you have to comment on their presentation skill in the class, in the form of formative assessment, right? Okay, this is just my point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I was actually writing notes down there. This is definitely a very good, reminder for all of us. Okay, open discussion again. Okay, I'm just here, to facilitate in case it goes off tangent of the topic. Yeah, anyone would like to respond, to Mak Eng ke, or raise other issue ke, also can. Also, I would like to, in defense as well, thank you for highlighting that. Yes, I believe that the case of Kak Ed just now when mentioned there, when a person says that they have bipolar, we definitely need to get, certification. The one that I mentioned about the anxiety disorder there, yeah, she showed me the psychiatrist diagnosis documentation before we can really accommodate there. Okay, and I believe that ODAI also, before putting in the list of special needs student, they would need documentation as well, I believe that. Right, so this is a good reminder that we should not assume. Yeah, that's definitely important point there. And the other one is about assessing how would you, the rest of you, let's say, is that you demand, especially to add what Muhammad Ang mentioned just now, video making or presentation, right? How about macam I also see a trend of students are required to also produce infographic, contohnya, for example, right? Infographic, okay, all these kind of posters there. So how do how do lecturers actually support that learning without really spending class time, to a certain extent that it macam ganggu kelas lah waktu kelas there. So yeah, what's the rest intake here? Let's say the issue here is that not enough time to at least cover those kind of things, to teach how to, what's a good video and how to do that. For example, what are alternative ways, for you to actually help out, at least to support that learning, so that they have a better chance at doing that well. Yeah. So what are your practices in your classes? How about you, Brother Muhammad Eng? So you mentioned formative assessment, right? How do you actually do it in a biology class?
Samsudin, can you repeat the last question?
Just now you mentioned one of the suggestion you highlighted was, at least cover it in a formative assessment before the summative one, right? So my question is to you, so how do you do that in a biology class? Let's say, for example, a presentation skill.
Okay. If because since biology we don't really have presentation, but if there were presentation, I would make students present certain part of a topic, each student, throughout the semester, and I will comment on their skills
As
and
part of a class activity, is it?
yeah,
Yes.
as part of class activity. And if you don't have time, then you have to find time lah.
Yes. Okay.
Like me, I prefer a lot of activities. I think you do so, the same. So we did flip classroom. With flip classroom, we actually have much more time in class. I mean that the whole class session is just activities from the start to the end with a bit of micro lectures.
Inshallah, there will be a dedicated topic on flipped classroom in the next PD, inshallah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. How about the rest? Let's say, for example, like macam assignments that require them to produce infographic, for example, or video editing, right? Especially those who really have those kind of assessment. How do you actually somehow support that skills being developed by students, even though you don't cover that formally during class time? How about the rest?
Assalamualaikum, Abang Syam. Can you hear me?
Waalaikumsalam. Yes, we
Uh,
can hear.
it's not. I'm not sharing. I'm just want to asking or putting one of my concern, especially when we talk about that kind of assessment that you mentioned just now. For example, if we want student to come up with an infographic, kan, some student they are very creative. They come up with very nice looking infographic. Unfortunately, the content is not that on point. Tapi ada group yang dia punya content tu macam okay tapi creativity tu pula kurang. So how do we need to actually put something or do something to enhance the student creativity, or we just can just assess whatever on the paper based on the content itself? Boleh ke nak letak markah creativity tu sebenarnya?
Open. I'm refraining myself from talking.
Can I give you a suggestion? Because I had this problem as a student, because I'm doing master's classes, right? So I think it's the same problem. The thing is, the student do not know the lecturer's expectation, right? Do lecturer want it to be more colorful? Do they want it to be more simplified, or do they want it to be more extended, right? The information or the content, or just show representation is enough, right? So we do not know. The student do not know what we actually want. Okay, just to give you an idea, okay, this is in A levels, and this is how they assess their project. So in A levels, they will prepare three samples. Okay, sample infographic 1, sample infographic 2, sample infographic 3. You can prepare something like that, and then you can show the student, okay, this is the topic, and if you do it like this, okay, sample infographic 1, you get A. This is A. If you do something like this, we'll give you A. And if you do something like this, we will give you B. If you do something like this, we give you C mark. You see, so that students have a certain point of reference. So when we ask students to do infographic, they do not have expectation. We just tell them, the more colorful, you get more marks. The content, we give you marks, but we do not tell them what type of content. Do it have to be summarized? With the content, will be given marks. Sometimes even we didn't even tell them criteria of the marks. That's even a bigger problem lah. But I don't think so that happened in CFS lah. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But that's my suggestion. give samples, sample A, sample B, sample C. If you do your project like this, you get marks like this. If you do your project like this, B mark and then C mark, something like that, right? So this is my suggestion.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Let me show, sample or whatever. Do you have that, Brother Ridwan?
Actually, we actually refrain from giving samples because we are afraid students are too tied up to the sample pula. So, tu among the consideration lah kalau nak provide sample tu.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Yes. AED, designing, yeah.
No. But yeah, I want to basically add up to what Brother Ridwan said. I think this is just my opinion. Assessing creativity towards students' work, I think it is okay, but then we always have to follow how do we assess, for example, assignments, because assignments obviously we assess on the contents, but we do also assess on the, for example, formatting, right? Formatting organization, where we don't really have like a topic on how to format or how to have a proper heading or page number, whatnot. So I think we have to like relate the creativity marks so that it is proportionate to how much do you mark the formatting of a pen and paper assignment. So I don't have like a proper like how many percentage that you can mark for a creativity part, but then it should not be as much as marking the content. This is just my opinion. It can be true, it can be right, it can be wrong. How about the others?
Brother Zahid, can you repeat again your last point? It should not be that part there.
Sorry. I repeat myself what I said just now.
Mhm.
And as to my practice, we refrain from giving samples because we are afraid students are too tied up to the samples. Everything pun nak ikut sample. So they are not being able to be actually creative. So tu among the concern lah on our part. Especially kalau kita bagi assignment yang bertulis. So nanti semua heading pun sama. Sedangkan different topic or different kind of discussion require different heading, but they just really follow the sample. So that is one of the thing. But to reduce that kind of problem, maybe my way how I did it is just by way of consultation. During the student come and show the draft, during that time we say, oh, letaklah gambar sikit. Tapi bila dah suruh macam tu, student kata, sir, tak ada markah creativity pun dalam rubrik. Allahu Akbar, kena balik. So that I'm having that kind of issue.
Yes, Brother Zahid, just now you were saying.
I forgot what I mentioned. The last one. What is it? What?
It was something itulah macam I also trying to catch. You think that it is not just apa that means if I get this correct lah, you are saying that in your opinion there should be an appreciation to other than the main content. Is it?
Mhm. Yeah. I think.
Okay.
So similar with, for example, if we assess presentation students on certain topics, kan. So we are assessing how they explain the content. But for me, I think you can have like marks on the delivery part, but then it is not the main lah. Maybe it's like, I don't know, like 10% of the whole marks ke.
But how would you, for example, since we are assessing assessment, right? The issue of validity, for example, let's say this 1-2 marks there. Do you actually express those things as well in any way in the course outline or whatnot?
Ya itulah, kalau tak ada dalam course outline, well, probably is not a good assessment lah kan for you to assess the presentation. So itulah, that is just my idea or my my thinking lah. Kalau macam Brother Ridwan cakap tadi kan, boleh ke kita nak assess creativity part tu?
To that technically, if let's say again in the course outline, right, there is layers of what you can actually assess. Of course, the main one would be course outline. Course learning outcome. However, the course learning outcome is also mapped with the PLO, the program learning outcome, which includes soft skills as well among those, like for example PLO 3 academic skills, PLO 5 basic ICT skills, for example. So you can somehow just, instead of directly use the word creativity, instead tailor it to that PLO particularly. I can see that the PLO can be related with, which is PLO 5, for example. Okay, or PLO 4. PLO 4 is communicate effectively, for example. You can interpret communicate effectively as when a criteria of effective communication is that it has a variation, for example. It has engagement, for example. So that is you justify that under the effectiveness of PLO 4, which is effective communication. So effectively communicate information through a poster, for example, right? And you define, like instead of directly use the word creativity, you use the use of variation can be interpreted as a criteria to define a good communication of using a poster. So you can still actually relate in using different mediums such as the PLO, because the PLO accommodates the soft skills as well, if you actually notice. Okay, so if let's say in your current course you are assessing that, and then probably in the curriculum review you might want to consider mapping that PLO to that particular any of the learning outcome in the course, so that you have some room, a justified room to really assess those kind of things that I think I would support. And in fact, it's the direction of MQA as well, to make sure that it's not just this content that is being assessed for our program, okay, in our assessment, but we also should also include the delivery and the assessment of the soft skills as well, which elaborated in our program learning outcome. So I definitely believe in you that they should be appreciated, but make sure that you provide room and justification that it is there. Okay, the room is there to assess. So macam you need to make sure that the course outline is there lah. Okay, is there to define that okay, for this course, okay, PLO 5 contohnya, basic ICT skills there is appreciated, will be appreciated. So in the rubric there, and then you mention the use of variety of medium, okay, in presentation of poster and etc. there. So it actually can be. So technically you cannot say that it's wrong or what lah, basically. It's actually a requirement by the MQA even to include the soft skills as well in the MQA. That's why we have the MQF domain there to assess soft skills and etc. there. So in our curriculum review pun, previous one, we have this courses to PLO mapping, right? So that's where you strategize, okay, whether that program should have more academic skills, okay, the skills of looking into academic journals or what, or basic ICT skill or communication skills and etc. Right. Okay, now Allahu Alam, any other concern, suggestion, good practices maybe? Like for example, let's go very basic, okay, with the remaining 10 minutes here. Assessment, okay, we look at vetting. Okay, vetting, very direct. Now, any good practices of vetting that probably your department that you think is worth mentioning, so that others can probably emulate. Like for example, of course, okay, for final examination, okay, that's very clear there. There's internal vetting and there's kuliah vetting there. But I would like, because the topic is about assessments here, right? So it's not just confined to final examination. How about checking or vetting the other assessments? What is your departmental practice for vetting your test, vetting your project, vetting your quiz, vetting your midterm, or vetting your tutorials assessment there? So what are your departmental practice there that you probably can share? Either good or bad, it is okay. So we share, and then at least we know what's happening. Okay, so I open, please. Anyone would like to share? Checking or vetting of other assessment than the pen and paper or final examination.
Brother Syam, just want to add one more kalau
Yeah,
boleh
yeah.
kan.
Ah,
Right. I'm actually intrigued to know about the if any of the departments is doing moderation on projects. Moderation of marks, student marks on project. If any lah. I think physics is doing it, but I'm not sure how they did it.
yeah. Any representative of physics here that you want? Okay, someone is raising your hand, please, madam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Farahana from AED. So basically, but I think I don't know whether Brother is mentioning about projects of very towards documentation and so on. But for us AED, most of the projects is basically a models and also a drawing. And usually what we do is that we ask all the instructors to provide samples from high, medium, and low. And we're going to meet up and bring all the samples and we compare. But before we compare, the course leader will explain what are the rubrics, what are the things that we need to consider to give these students A or B or C. So that's one of the practice that we did for our department, especially for design courses lah. And same goes with the presentation drawings, models, because it's quite subjective. Some people might say, oh, this one cantik, yang ni tak cantik, yang ni cantik. But we will look back into what are the parameter that we look at, especially the rubrics lah. So we can control kita punya subjective look on each of the instructors itself, rather than kita bias kan, oh ni terlampau cantik and then and so on. So we control that by using moderation and show all the samples among all the instructors. Memang kena tunjuk satu batch punya samples, high, medium and low, and then baru kita make a decision from that moderation. Yeah, I think that's all.
Oh, thank you. That's very interesting. There's just a question here. When each lecturer have to show these 3 sample, that means that they already mark, right?
Not yet.
Oh, no. So how to determine high, medium, low? That one.
That's why we based on our experience first. We look first the sample. Oh, I think this one is A. I think this one is B plus, and then we show it, and then all of us will be present all the samples. And then kalau tak setuju, waktu tu juga kita bagi tahu kenapa. And kalau setuju nak naikkan or we wanted to upgrade or downgrade, then we will discuss that matter on the spot.
Well, that's very interesting there. Okay, so yeah, the moderating of project, or assignments, that's a very good point. Okay, that highlight there. So that's AED. How about the rest? Any opinions or comments or even question? That's an interesting practice here. Oh, but one last question. I'm quite interested in that. How long does it take to finish that moderation session? It looks very long.
Yes. Basically, we have one subject which is freehand drawing. That one is very subjective, which is sketches and so on. Every exercise we do moderation for each exercise, and it takes every week, somehow 2 times, every 2 weeks 1 time we meet up all the instructors. And let's say final project, we have graphic communication this semester. We usually just took only a main project yang mana yang paling complex, then we do a moderation. It takes about, pernah exceed sampai setengah hari.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Sebab memang terlampau banyak. Tapi kita tak boleh nak buat semua, so we have to cut off. That's why each instructor up to 2 sample or 3 sample only. Macam each high 2 sampel, medium 2 sampel, tak boleh, jangan lebih-lebih macam tu. So based on that benchmark, we refer back, and then macam tu lah kita evaluate and assess based on projects.
How many instructors we are talking here?
8.
Okay, right. Okay, so separuh hari. That's why I'm curious. It sounds very long actually. Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. Oh, that's very interesting. So I even learn. Okay, I even learn. So I hope that members are also learning here. All right. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone. So it's 12:55. Okay, so according to the plan, okay, this will be the concluding here. So nak minta izin, okay, we tutup discussion at this moment here, and let me at least conclude into some points that somehow I managed to jot down, so that there's a take home message lah for us. So here are the take-home points that so far at least I learned. In our discussion for today, there were some issues that was actually highlighted. Uh, uh, three, so far there was a three main issue here for special needs students, the assessment. There's some, the concern is whether the criteria for only adding time, is it fair or not and such like that. So in our discussion, just now we noticed that certain different needs have different needs other than time factor. So one of the suggestion is that we should interview their needs, okay, of course, after certifying that they are properly diagnosed by an expert, professional expert, psychiatrist or whatnot. Okay, we should interview their particular needs. And here's an added recommendation. When we try to adjust, I would also like to advise that when you adjust, you should also communicate with the course leader or the person who is in charge of the course. Okay, so it should not be done alone, the adjustment that there should be a second level filtering there. That's one point that I believe that the discussion shared. The second one is about assessing soft skill, in which, for example, like poster or video editing, in which we actually don't really directly provide the skills for the student. So among the suggestion would be conduct formative assessments, meaning to say that have class activities before they were really being tested. Like if you demand them to, produce a poster or what, at least have a prior consultation before that to give comment. Or in class activities, you require them to do a very brief poster and you comment on it, okay, before their real expected submission for the poster there. So conduct formative assessment and share expectation by sharing examples or template. And then the last one would be about moderation of, other assessments such as projects, okay, other than the pen and paper results. The moderation of results for project and other assessment there. It seems that, some departments, they are really, have good practices that were shared by AED. Cuma we don't probably have a rep from physics just now there. But probably for future we can also ask. You just know, Brother Muhammad Eng said that physics also do that. So we may want to engage with our physics counterpart there. Probably ask, how do they actually do it? The moderation of results of project there. So these are at least three points that I believe captured in today's discussion. Inshallah, and after this, I hope to be able to do a feedback form, and then I will be asking your feedback on the suitability of this timing, as well as suggestion for future topics as well. Okay, so without further delay, again, I would like to thank everyone for this wonderful session. I believe we learned everything here. And let's end this PD, professional discussion, with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratullah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. All right, thank you very much. Okay, I'll see you in next month, okay, of the session there. Don't forget to key in the attendance there. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.